Most restaurant chains quietly copy each other, all chasing the very same trends, the same apps, the same limited time combo deals until they blur together. But a handful of American chains do something genuinely different, something their competitors either cannot or will not, and it is usually the exact reason people love them. This one is not a warning list, it is the opposite. A look at 10 chains getting something right in a way nobody else does. Some of it will surprise you, a few will impress you, and by the end, you may understand your own favorites a little better than you did. It is all about what makes a place worth choosing. So before we start, hit like and subscribe. Let's get into it. 1. In-N-Out refuses to franchise. Start with the one that quietly breaks the #1 rule of fast food. In-N-Out has never franchised a single location. Since 1948, every restaurant has been owned and operated by the company itself, with no franchise fee, no franchise disclosure document, and no way for an outside investor to buy in, which is almost unheard of at its size. That single choice explains everything else about the chain. Because it owns every store, In-N-Out controls its entire supply chain and can insist on standards a franchise system legally cannot enforce as tightly. Its stores don't even have freezers, microwaves, or heat lamps. The beef is never frozen, and the potatoes are cut into fries by hand in the store from whole potatoes. The reward shows up in the numbers, with each location estimated to generate around $5.8 million a year, well above the roughly $3.9 million of an average McDonald's, and store managers reportedly earning six-figure salaries. So while the rest of fast food chased growth by selling franchises to anyone with capital, that refusal quietly raises a question the industry would rather not answer. When one chain gets more per store, fresher food, and fiercely loyal customers precisely by refusing the franchise model everyone else depends on, what did all that rapid franchise growth actually cost the others? There is a genuine trade buried in this choice, and it is worth naming honestly. Refusing to franchise is a large part of why In-N-Out grows so slowly and stays concentrated in a handful of Western states. Because every new store has to be built, owned, and staffed by the company itself, within delivery range of its own distribution centers. A franchise chain can blanket the country in a decade. In-N-Out took generations to cross a few state lines, but the company clearly decided that being smaller and better was worth more than being everywhere and average, and its customers plainly agree. 2. Waffle House almost never closes. Here is a chain so reliable that the federal government unofficially uses it to measure disasters. Waffle House, with more than 2,000 locations concentrated across the South, is built to stay open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and it takes something close to catastrophe to shut one down. That reputation became an actual tool. A former head of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, Craig Fugate, coined what he called the Waffle House Index after the 2011 Joplin tornado. The logic is simple. If the local Waffle House is open and serving a full menu, the area is fine. If it is on a limited menu, things are bad. And if the Waffle House is actually closed, the situation is genuinely dire. The chain keeps portable generators, storm playbooks, and rapid response jump teams ready precisely so it can feed people when nothing else is open. So while most restaurants lock the doors at the first sign of a storm, that stubborn commitment quietly raises a question the rest of the industry never thinks to ask. When a diner becomes so dependable that emergency officials watch its lights to judge how bad a hurricane really is, what is that kind of trust actually worth to a community? What makes the Waffle House approach so admirable is that staying open in a disaster is genuinely hard, and the chain treats it as a mission rather than a marketing gimmick. It pre-positions generators, trains staff on a stripped-down no-power menu, and dispatches jump teams to get damaged stores serving again as fast as safety allows. For a community that has just lost power, water, and every other option, a hot plate of eggs and a lit sign is not really about the food. It is a signal that normal life is coming back, and that is a strange and real kind of public service from a private diner. 3. Chick-fil-A, closed on Sundays. This one defies basic business math and wins anyway. Chick-fil-A closes every single one of its restaurants on Sundays, walking away from an entire day of sales every week, a policy rooted in the founders' beliefs and maintained ever since. On paper, giving up roughly 1/7 of your operating days should be a catastrophe. Instead, Chick-fil-A generates more sales per restaurant than any other fast food chain in America, out-earning competitors that are open all 7 days, some of them by a wide margin. Being closed on Sundays gives staff a guaranteed day off, which supports the chain's famously consistent service, and it has become a core part of the brand's identity rather than a weakness. The scarcity may even make people value the other 6 days more. So while every competitor squeezes 7 days of revenue out of every week, that closed door on Sunday quietly raises a question the always open model is designed to prevent. When the chain that works one day less than everyone else still earns the most per store. Was that extra day of grinding ever really the path to winning? It is worth being fair that the Sunday closure comes from the founder's religious convictions, which not every customer shares, and that is a legitimate thing to note rather than paper over. But the business lesson stands independent of the beliefs behind it. A guaranteed weekly day off is a genuine rarity in an industry known for grinding its workers into exhaustion, and it almost certainly contributes to the calmer, more consistent, more genuinely friendly service the chain is famous for. Rested employees who know they have Sundays with their families simply show up differently, and customers feel it. 4. Raising Cane's sells essentially one thing. In a world of endless menus, this chain bet everything on a single item. Raising Cane's serves chicken fingers and effectively nothing else. No burgers, no wings, no sprawling menu, just its chicken fingers served with crinkle-cut fries, thick Texas toast, coleslaw, and that one signature dipping sauce. Founder Todd Graves was famously told in business school that the single item idea would never work, and he then built an entire fortune, proving that professor wrong. That extreme focus is the whole advantage. Because the kitchen makes only one thing, it makes it exceptionally well, using chicken breast tenderloins that are hand battered and fried fresh on site rather than frozen. The simplicity speeds up service, reduces waste, and builds an identity so clear that the chain has grown into one of the fastest rising names in the country and made Graves a billionaire on the strength of a single product. So while nearly every competitor keeps bolting new items onto a bloated menu, that stubborn focus quietly raises a question the everything for everyone approach is designed to prevent. When a chain wins by doing exactly one thing better than anyone else, how much of a giant menu is really there to serve you? And how much is there to hide that nothing on it is special? The Raising Cane's story is really a lesson about the courage to say no, which is far harder for a business than saying yes. Every instinct in the restaurant industry pushes toward adding items, chasing the customer who wanted a burger or a salad or a breakfast option, and most chains cannot resist. Cane's resisted for decades, keeping its menu almost defiantly tiny, even as it scaled nationwide. And that discipline is exactly what let it master its one product and build an identity no cluttered competitor could match. Doing less, on purpose, turned out to be the whole strategy. 5. Texas Roadhouse, made from scratch. At a time when most sit-down chains quietly reheat food shipped in frozen, this one doubled down on doing the hard way. Texas Roadhouse hand cuts its steaks in-house, in each restaurant, rather than receiving them pre-portioned, and it bakes its bread fresh throughout the day, sending out those warm rolls that have become a signature all their own. The from-scratch commitment runs through the menu, with sides, sauces, and dressings made in-house, rather than poured from industrial jugs, and a dedicated butcher on staff at each location. It costs more in labor and training than opening bags and boxes would, but it is exactly why the chain has become one of the most successful and consistently busy steakhouse brands in the country, often with a long wait for a table. So while so many casual dining chains cut costs by serving food assembled in a factory, that in-house labor quietly raises a question the frozen and reheated model is designed to prevent. When one chain still bothers to cut its own steaks and bake its own bread and thrives for it, what exactly are the others saving money on, and who is really paying for it? The hidden cost of the from-scratch model is one most diners never see, and it is worth appreciating. Hand-cutting steaks and baking bread all day requires skilled labor, training, and space that simply reheating factory food does not, which means higher payroll and more that can go wrong. Plenty of chains looked at that math and chose the frozen shortcut precisely because it is cheaper and more foolproof. Texas Roadhouse looked at the same math and decided the difference customers can taste was worth paying for, which is a genuinely harder and more expensive path to walk every single day. 6. Buc-ee's bans the trucks and perfects the bathrooms. This much-loved Texas travel center chain built an enormous, genuine cult following on the two simple things nearly every other highway stop in America gets badly wrong. Buc-ee's famously does not allow 18-wheelers at its locations, a deliberate choice that keeps its enormous lots calmer, cleaner, and easier for families to navigate than a typical truck-clogged gas station. And then there are the bathrooms. Buc-ee's has won national recognition for having some of the cleanest restrooms in the country, treating them not as an afterthought, but as a central feature, with dozens of immaculate stalls attended constantly. Add fresh brisket, an army of friendly staff, and famously good pay for the industry, and Buc-ee's turned the humble gas station, a category nobody expects anything from, into a genuine destination people plan road trips around. So while every other travel stop treats the bathroom as a necessary evil and the parking lot as a free-for-all, That obsessive attention quietly raises a question the industry is designed to prevent. When a gas station can become a beloved destination purely by being clean, calm, and welcoming, why did everyone else decide those things did not matter? What is quietly brilliant about the Buc-ee's approach is that it did not invent anything new. It simply took seriously the things every competitor treated as unimportant. Clean bathrooms, calm parking, friendly staff, and decent food are not exotic innovations. They are the obvious basics. And the entire gas station industry had collectively decided they did not matter enough to invest in. Buc-ee's proved the opposite, that if you obsess over the boring fundamentals everyone else neglects, you can turn the least glamorous business imaginable into a place people genuinely look forward to stopping at. Excellence at the basics is its own kind of innovation. 7. Culver's cooks every burger to order. This Midwest favorite refuses the one shortcut nearly all of fast food relies on. Culver's does not cook its signature butter burgers ahead of time to sit under a heat lamp. Each one is cooked fresh to order only after you ask for it, which is why it takes a few minutes longer than the chains built for instant speed. That patience is the point. Cooking to order means the beef is hot and fresh rather than held. And the same care extends to its fresh frozen custard, made in small batches throughout the day with a different flavor of the day at every location. The trade is real. Culver's chooses a slightly slower experience in exchange for genuinely fresher food, and its intensely loyal Midwestern following suggests customers happily make that trade. So while the giants engineered their entire kitchens around shaving seconds off your wait, that cook-to-order choice quietly raises a question the speed obsession is designed to prevent. When one chain decides a fresher meal is worth 90 extra seconds, how much quality did everyone else quietly trade away for the illusion of instant? This entry cuts to a trade-off the whole industry made almost without thinking, and Culver's is valuable precisely because it made the opposite choice out loud. Somewhere along the way, fast food decided that speed was the single most important thing, and that holding food under heat lamps so it could be handed over the instant you asked was worth whatever it cost in quality. Culver's simply disagreed, betting that enough customers would happily wait a couple of extra minutes for food that was actually cooked when they ordered it. Its fiercely loyal following is the evidence that the bet was right. 8. White Castle, still family-owned after a century. In an industry ruled by giant public corporations and private equity owners, this pioneer stayed stubbornly, proudly independent. White Castle, which opened in 1921 and is widely credited as the very first fast food hamburger chain in America, has remained family-owned for more than 100 years, still run today by direct descendants of its founding family. That independence let it keep its own identity instead of chasing every trend. White Castle still sells its distinctive small, square, steam-grilled sliders with the 5 holes, an item essentially unchanged for a century, and it built such devotion that it sells its burgers frozen in grocery stores nationwide and inspired an entire cult following. It never had to answer to outside shareholders demanding it look like everyone else. So while the rest of the industry consolidated into a handful of enormous corporate owners, that century of family control quietly raises a question the corporate model is designed to prevent. When the chain that invented the entire category is also the one that never sold out, what did staying independent let it protect that the others gave away? There is something quietly powerful about a business that answers only to itself, and White Castle is a rare surviving example of it at scale. Public companies and private equity owners bring relentless pressure to cut costs, chase trends, and maximize the next quarter, which is exactly how so many old brands lost whatever made them distinctive. By staying in the family for over a century, White Castle could keep selling the same strange little square burger it always had, resist the pressure to become a generic competitor, and make decisions for the long run rather than for a shareholder call. Independence bought it the freedom to simply stay itself. 9. Sonic built the whole experience around your car while the rest of fast food herded everyone into drive-through lines and dining rooms. This chain kept an entire era alive. Sonic is built on the classic drive-in model. You park in a numbered stall, order through a speaker right at your space, and a car hop, sometimes on roller skates, brings the food directly to your car window. It is a genuinely different experience, not a line to wait in, but a spot to relax in. And Sonic leaned into it, rather than abandoning it as outdated. The model shaped the menu too, built around drinks, slushes, shakes, and snacks meant to be enjoyed in your car, with a famous range of customizable drink combinations. In an industry racing to remove every human touch, Sonic kept a car hop coming to your window. So while every everyone else optimized the human experience out of fast food in the name of efficiency, that preserved drive-in quietly raises a question the modern model is designed to prevent. When one chain succeeds by keeping the thing everyone else deleted, the car hop, the stall, the sense of an occasion, how much did the rush toward pure efficiency actually take from the rest of them? The Sonic model is a reminder that efficiency and experience are not the same thing, and that optimizing hard for one can quietly destroy the other. The entire industry decided that the fastest possible transaction was the goal, and in chasing it, stripped away nearly every human moment from getting a meal. Sonic kept the car hop, the numbered stall, the small sense of occasion, and in doing so preserved something its competitors treated as waste. It is slower and more human by design, and for a great many customers, that trade, a little less speed for a little more warmth, is exactly the point. 10. First Watch closes in the afternoon on purpose end with a chain that walks away from dinner entirely, the most profitable meal in most restaurants. First Watch, a fast-growing breakfast and brunch chain, serves only breakfast, brunch, and lunch, opening in the morning and closing in the mid-afternoon every single day. No dinner service at all, no late nights, not ever, not anywhere. That restraint is a strategy, not a limitation. By serving only daytime meals, First Watch runs a single shift with no late nights, which makes it a rare restaurant job with humane hours, helping it attract and keep good staff in an industry infamous for brutal schedules. It focuses its entire kitchen and menu on doing daytime food well, rather than stretching itself across every meal. And that focus has fueled rapid, steady growth. So while nearly every restaurant chases revenue deep into the night, that early closing time quietly raises a question the always open mindset is designed to prevent. When a chain grows quickly precisely by working fewer hours and treating its staff like people, was chasing every last dinner shift ever really the only way to build something that lasts? What makes First Watch genuinely interesting is that its restraint solves two problems at once, which is rare. By refusing the dinner shift, it does not just focus its food, it fundamentally changes what it is like to work there, offering daytime-only hours in an industry where late nights and closing shifts are notorious for burning people out. Better hours attract better, steadier staff, which produces a better experience for customers, which fuels the growth. It is a genuinely virtuous circle that started with the counterintuitive decision to simply walk away from the most obvious source of extra revenue. So 10 chains, 10 choices nobody else was willing to make. Step back, and a single thread runs through every one of them, and it is worth naming because it is the real lesson here. What they all have in common, I'll look closely, and every one of these chains did the same underlying thing. It picked one principle and refused to compromise it, even when the compromise would have been cheaper or faster or bigger. In-N-Out chose control over growth. Chick-fil-A chose a day of rest over a day of sales. Raising Cane's chose focus over variety. Texas Roadhouse chose labor over shortcuts. First Watch chose humane hours over the dinner rush. Each one gave something up on purpose and got a fiercely loyal following in return. That is the pattern worth taking with you well beyond restaurants. The businesses people genuinely love are almost never the ones that did everything the standard way a little cheaper. They are the ones that made one clear, costly choice and stood by it, so that customers always knew exactly what they stood for. In a world of endless sameness, a real commitment to a single principle turns out to be the rarest and most valuable thing a company can offer, and the one thing a competitor can never quickly copy. It is worth noticing, too, that the costly choice is almost always the one that cannot be faked. A rival can copy a menu item overnight, match a price by lunchtime, and clone an ad campaign in a week. What it cannot easily copy is a decades-long refusal to franchise, a century of family ownership, a from-scratch kitchen culture built one trained cook at a time, or a reputation for staying open when the world is falling apart. Those things take years of consistent, expensive commitment to build, which is precisely why they are so powerful. The very difficulty that makes them costly is what makes them impossible to steal, which means the decision, as always, is about information, not hype, information. Here is the honest balance to carry out of this video, because even a positive list deserves a clear eye. None of these chains is perfect, and doing one thing brilliantly does not make a company flawless. In-N-Out's fries divide people. Waffle House has had its share of headlines. Chick-fil-A's Sunday policy comes from convictions not everyone shares. And every chain here still has ordinary complaints about price, consistency, or service, like anyone else. Admiring a single smart choice is not the same as endorsing everything a company does. And there is a genuinely useful takeaway for you as a customer in all of it. When you find yourself loving a particular restaurant or any business, it is worth asking what one uncommon thing it does that the others do not, because that is almost always the real reason, and it tells you what you actually value. Maybe it is freshness, maybe it is reliability, maybe it is simplicity, or how the staff are treated. Knowing what you are really loyal to helps you spend your money on purpose. It also protects you from the opposite trap, the business that spends heavily on advertising a personality it does not actually have. Plenty of chains market themselves as fresh or caring or authentic without making a single costly choice to back it up. And the difference shows the moment you look for the real commitment underneath the slogan. When you learn to ask what a company actually gives up to keep its promise, the ones running on marketing alone become much easier to spot and much easier to walk past. So the practical version is simple. The next time a chain earns your loyalty, look past the ads and find the one real choice underneath it. The freezer they refuse to install, the day they refuse to open, the menu they refuse to expand. That single decision usually is the brand, far more than any slogan. And once you can spot it, you become a much sharper judge of where your time and money are genuinely well spent. If this gave you a new way of looking at your favorite places, go ahead and like it. It helps this reach the people who need to see it. Share it with the friend who swears by one of these chains and has never quite been able to explain why, because now you can. And if you want more videos that pull apart what is really behind the everyday brands, most people never question, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because the more clearly you understand how these decisions actually get made, the better the decisions you get to make for yourself. We will see you in the next one.